Will EA Sports actually ban Ultimate Team? No, of course. This screenshot's been going around everywhere and it's talking about IP blacklists. Ultimate Team is currently not available in your region. And everybody's been kind of losing their heads about it. And I think we need to calm down a little bit. Ultimate Team is not going to be completely removed from FIFA. At least not for a very long time. Ultimate Team is the biggest financial asset that EA Sports have probably as a company. It's responsible for billions of dollars of revenue every single year. A large percentage of their profits is made on Ultimate Team. So we need to relax when we start panicking about, if they can't make money from it, will they take it out of the game? I don't think so. If I was guessing, I would probably put this down to the Netherlands having a €500,000 fine every single week for FIFA points and packs remaining in the game. A judge passed the motion that unless EA Sports take these packs out of their game in the Netherlands, they will be fined weekly, and obviously that money builds up. It's not actually that much money for EA Sports, €500,000 a week. I think it's more the publicity and the negative publicity that they are obviously receiving. Belgium led the way in banning this game mode, or banning the packs and the FIFA points, I should say, not the game mode, that is still playable. But obviously the UK has had a call for evidence. The House of Lords in the UK, which basically just a bunch of rich, posh people who control a lot of the laws in the UK, have said that they think that this should be added to the Gambling Act. Effectively, the microtransaction system, the FIFA points, the FIFA packs, the roulette wheel which can land on Messi, Ronaldo, or Lovren, is a gambling simulation. And more specifically, all loot crates, whether that's in, mini games that you have on apps and phones and all of these little games that really do rely, a large percentage of their income relies on loot crates, should be part of the Gambling Act to protect children, to protect adults, to protect vulnerable people, in the same way that if you walked into a betting shop, you have to pass certain regulations. You can't just be 12 and go in there and spin a wheel, right? You have to have identification. Now, recently in videos I've spoken about the state of California having a lawsuit against EA Sports. There's a couple of French lawyers who are filing a dispute against EA Sports. The UK has a call for evidence and have had EA Sports representatives in Parliament and questioned them pretty full on about the system that Ultimate Team is and about whether they think it's okay and fair. We've seen Canada having lawsuits against EA Sports at the moment. The Netherlands has obviously had what I just introed the video with, and Belgium has banned it. So this is definitely starting to spiral for EA Sports, and I think panic should be starting to set in. If it was any other company, I would assume they would have had this protocol procedure, this event, they would have prepared for it. They would have gone, there's a chance that this system, I think they're too arrogant. I genuinely do. I know I'm just some YouTuber who sits in his bedroom and plays video games and doesn't know too much about the billion-dollar company, but as a consumer of EA Sports for 20 years now, I can tell you this company doesn't care about its consumers. This company has acted in a way that would lead me to believe it thinks it's untouchable. They sent a representative to the UK Parliament and said that FIFA packs and FIFA loot crates were the equivalent of Kinder eggs. Now, I've had videos on this channel with adults and, adults and children have come to and spoke about experiences with FIFA packs that have led them to depression, to incredible anxiety, to debt, and even to suicide and suicide attempts. Now, I don't know a single person that's ever experienced any four of those pretty awful things from a Kinder egg. But that subject has been beaten to death, and I'm here to talk to you today about what I think this screenshot means. I think it's to cover themselves in the Netherlands, in case that the Netherlands situation spirals and they do have to just pause and just make Ultimate Team not playable in the Netherlands for a few months or a few weeks or a few days whilst they sort something out. Is it unlikely that that happens? Yes, but it's more likely that that's the case rather than they are planning to completely remove Ultimate Team. That's not happening, right? If they ever have to make changes to Ultimate Team, they're still going to have a microtransaction system in place on the game mode. Now, they might switch it to a more ethical Fortnite or a Call of Duty style where the things that you buy are cosmetic and they're not, Ronaldo. You can't effectively just load up 25,000 FIFA points until you unlock enough money from that to get Ronaldo, or the chances are obviously then going to be more in your favour to pack a better player. That's where obviously we want to see FIFA go. If you do have to microtransaction games, make it ethical. I don't think anybody's ever complained about Fortnite. I don't think anybody's ever complained about Call of Duty. I don't think anybody's ever complained about Rocket League when it comes to microtransactions. These games have microtransactions in place that do not affect the ability of the game, and they do not have such an addicting nature that this one does, because the reward of getting a new skin on Fortnite by spending a little bit of money is not the same as the pull of the potential Ronaldo, João Felix, Messi, Mbappe, Neymar packs that you could pull out, and the advertisements that are around that, you know. You guys have seen it. I'm sure if you're this far into the video, if you're a subscriber to this channel, you kind of know what I'm talking about. I've spoke to professionals on this channel before, psychology experts who have actually got an education, unlike this idiot, in the field, and have specified how blatantly obvious EA Sports' marketing campaign is to children. Like it is. It is. I spoke a little bit earlier about EA Sports' arrogance, and I don't think I really got my point out on that subject. What I mean is, any other company, I feel like, should have sat there and gone, right, in case this method of income goes down the toilet, let's focus on how can we monetize pro clubs, how can we monetize career mode, how can we monetize Volta, how can we, you know, how can they make more money in different areas? But they would have already started exploring that if they had those intentions. I've said for years on this channel that I would prefer all of the games that I purchase for 70 Great British pounds to not have microtransactions in them, but it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic of EA Sports, and to be honest, in 2020, it's unrealistic of most games. Video games now know that they can have microtransactions in, and they can make a lot of money from that. If every single person who buys Fortnite spends an average of 40 pence, it's a lot of people, it's a lot of money. So being realistic, pro clubs could have been microtransactioned, I think that makes sense, a very long time ago. It could have been like NBA. You know, we could have had custom kits, custom stadiums, custom players, custom tattoos. All these sorts of different things could have come to pro clubs a really long time ago. And I say pro clubs because I specifically do only play FIFA at this point for that game mode. Career mode, I guess you could microtransaction it, but it would be a shame and it wouldn't make as much sense, as it isn't an online game mode, and to me it wouldn't really have that fit as a my player feel would. But I'm not here, and you're not here, to tell EA Sports how to make more money. What I'm saying is, none of these other methods have ever been in place. They have shown nothing but arrogance in their addressing of this Ultimate Team situation. No sympathy, no empathy for anybody involved, no care for their community. I mean, even just recently with all of this pressure, they've been pressured, and what they've obviously done on the advice of their lawyers is put a pay cap in. Finally, a pay cap in. So when you're loading up Ultimate Team, you can set, you know, I don't want to spend 20 quid, more than 20 quid today on Ultimate Team. And then when you go to obviously spend £21, a little bit over, it will come up and say, are you sure this is your pay cap? But EA Sports had a giant ignore for an hour button on there. So it's effectively just a useless method that they're going to have in court to rely on and say, look, we do protect our people because we have, you know, this in place to protect vulnerable. It's way too little too late. It's shady as you can come. I mean, you can effectively turn it off within 12 milliseconds. And to be honest, as someone who's spent a lot of time researching EA Sports as a company, their whole address to these accusations and response to these accusations has been that the Ultimate Team isn't gambling and the Ultimate Team is not unethical. And these are their words. So why do you now have a method akin to one you'd see in any betting shop around the world in place? I don't see spending limits on any of the other games I've mentioned that use microtransactions. I feel it's important that I keep talking to you about this message. A lot of you like these videos, you enjoy them, the like ratios are always really good. A lot of you hit me up on Instagram or Twitter or the comment section if you're feeling like, you know, brave enough to share your story with stories of what EA Sports Ultimate Team has done to you. And that might just be 12-year-old you lost the £70 you got for your birthday on it. But some people, obviously, it goes even way further than that, like we've seen on the channel. Suicide attempts, awful, awful things from a result of Ultimate Team. It's a glorified gateway drug, almost, to other betting further down the line. And I've seen hundreds, if not thousands of you write to me and tell me your stories about how your gambling addiction started on this game. And it's not a coincidence. A lot of young men, particularly, but obviously women as well, but a lot of young men in this country, they love football and they love video games. And what's the best football video game? What's the one that dominates the market? What's the biggest? What's the most played? What's the most marketed? It's FIFA. It's FIFA. So if you get FIFA at 11, 12, 13, 14 for your birthday and you play it, and slowly you realise that everyone else's team's better than yours and you can't compete with everyone else's team, and he's got Ronaldo and he's got Mbappe and he's got... What do? You start loading up points. And the majority of us luckily do not have that addictive genetic impulse. But a lot of people do. And a lot of people will then become a victim of this game. You know, they start loading up. And maybe some of them stay on FIFA, but a lot of them go to different games. A lot of them go to different levels. You know, it quickly starts on Ultimate Team, and then you download a gambling app, you know, a casino app, and then you find yourself in the betting shops, and then you find yourself in a very, very disadvantageous position from where you started. And you look back and you think, probably was Ultimate Team that started that. So forgive me if I've repeated myself a few times in this video, that a lot of you guys who are loyal to the channel might have heard a lot of these points before, but I do feel like it's important enough to raise it every now and then, and especially when something is current and popping off. I would have tackled this a lot earlier. The more alert of you might have realised that I've moved flats. This isn't the same flat. So I'm uploading this video on 4G hotspot. So I don't know, please send some help, because my internet's not up till Monday. If you're somebody who's affected by the issues I've spoke about in this video, then message me. Instagram DMs, Twitter, email, which is on my Twitter. Or if you're feeling like you want to share your story publicly, just leave a comment down below. It really is encouraging when I make these videos to see a lot of you guys who have struggled connect, and people, you know, can start talking to each other about similar issues, and it gives you the feeling that you're not alone when you've had a struggle with this Ultimate Team. And the fact I even have to say, this is a game, this is a video game about football. And one thing, if you are still listening at this point, and you're not really sure that everything I've said has made sense to you, and you're not 100% sure that Ultimate Team's gambling, one last point that I always like to reiterate to you. A lot of you, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and say every single person watching this video now, will know somebody, unless it's yourself, who has spent way too much money on Ultimate Team. Or every paycheck, they spend money on Ultimate Team. Or every time Ultimate Team drops, the first 3 months, they spend hundreds every week on Ultimate Team. Or way too much money than they can afford. If your friend was doing the same thing, but on a gambling site, so he was on William Hill Casino, he was going into Paddy Power, he was going to the casinos and, you know, spending it all on blackjack, and effectively coming out with nothing, because we've spoke about that in detail before. The Ultimate Team reward is nothing. It has value digitally for 9 months, and then it gets wiped. How would you feel? How would you feel? I'm uploading on 4G, so as I said, this video was recorded on Friday the 11th of December 2012, so just let me know when it finally gets uploaded.